Hey everybody, it's Gray again. It's another edition of Unbreakable the podcast, and I'm here with Coco. Coco, come here and say hello to everybody. He is famous on Facebook. I always put a picture of him up every day. Coco of the Dead, and that's him. And he just walked in. What the hell? But there he goes, Coco of the Dead. Speaking of cuteness, there he is, the patron saint of this fine, cheap podcast. There he is, my friend and yours, Bud, the great. There he is with his birthday scarf and his cake. Look at him smiling, huh? He likes it. He likes it. And just so you know, so you don't worry, because I know people worry. Not a real cake, not real candles. I hope somebody's out there watching me to it because I look at the things, when I process this thing after I do it, the video, and you come up with the list and how many people comment, how many people watch. The last 3 days, guess how many people have watched me this week? Just the last 3 days. I'll make it simple. 0. 0 people have watched. Now, that's not saying that people don't listen. Maybe they're jogging, maybe they're trying to sleep, maybe they're sitting on the toilet. Who knows? But, people could be listening out there. I doubt it, but they could be. But 0 people watched, which is okay. That's good because, I'm not what you say, Paul Newman here. You know what I'm saying? What the hell? If nobody's going to watch, I might as well do the podcast in my pajamas. Okay? I'll tell you real quick, so nobody will watch this. Me and the dude, nobody will watch it. No. Anyway, so I gotta tell you, it is Saturday, October 19th, and beautiful day here in Pennsylvania. Cool, crisp, but that's 80 degrees next Tuesday and Wednesday. Can you believe it? Last night, we went to see Beatles coming in at the beautiful historic Colonial Theater. They were called the Fab Four. Well, they were fabulous. Great people there. They looked like the Beatles. They sounded like the Beatles, and the voices were a little, but the music was spot on. And it was a really good show. A really good show. In fact, they had a guy on there, a guy who is from Jersey, stand-up comedian named Jeff Benfield, I believe his name is. He portrayed Ed Sullivan, and he was sort of the host of the show. And he was on at the beginning, and he looked like Ed Sullivan. Oh, it's a really big shoe today, a real shoe on the stage. And he introduced the Beatles. And he was really good. He was funny. And then the Fab Four came out, and they did the early Beatles with the suits and the ties, and everybody was rocking. The first segment, they started out with "She Loves You" and "I Want to Hold Your Hand," "A Hard Day's Night," "Should Have Known Better," "Do You Want to Know a Secret?" All these great songs. And then the final song was on the set was Twist and Shout. And people were up and they were twisted in the aisles and shouting and dancing. It was a lot of fun. And the second half, the Beatles came out. I call them the Beatles. They're not the Beatles. They're the Fab Four. They came out and they showed up. They had the costumes on the Sergeant Pepper costume. And they already did a couple of songs from Sergeant Pepper. And but that was okay. And then they quick changed again. They came back out in like the later Beatle clothes, like the John, the guy who played John had the long hair, and he had like an army jacket on, fatigues, and Paul had the vest on, and and they did, like the guy who played John did Imagine. Now, yeah, John never did Imagine when he was Beatles. He wrote that song after he left the Beatles. But you take a little poetic license, a little liberty there. And the guy who played George was really good. He did something, and they had this montage of pictures of George on the screen, and people were screaming. George is becoming, I think George is becoming one of the most beloved Beatle. I mean, I think people are starting to realize that he was, not only was he the quiet Beatle, Paul and John and Paul, whatever, were out there, the main songwriters, two of the greatest songwriters in history, and the lead singers. And George is sort of with Ringo in background. But George is becoming this, people are discovering George Harrison and how great he was, not only as a guitarist and a singer and a songwriter. When he wrote Here Comes the Sun, he wrote something. He wrote While My Guitar Gently Weeps. He wrote all those great Beatles songs. And so when they were showing this montage of George through the years, while this guy who was playing George was singing something, it was just really cool. George is, like I said, George is like, I can't wait to see those biopics from the Beatles that are coming out in a couple of years, that they're filming now. And I particularly can't wait to see the one on George, because his life was really very interesting. Uh, there's just something about him that he was a quiet Beatle. He was no nonsense, straight to the point, honest. Uh, just, I don't know. I think there's a lot of George we never tapped into, and I think people now are rediscovering George Harrison. Anyway, I was a little surprised at the reaction that it got. Anyway, and then the guy who played Paul at the end, he sang Hey Jude, the guy who played Ringo, Little Help With My Friends, that kind of thing. So it was just a great, fun time, And it was like, you close your eyes, it's like being back with the Beatles again. I'll tell you the one thing that impressed me. Two things. One thing, going into the theater, well, first of all, the Colonial Theater was packed, a couple thousand people. The upper deck, the balcony was full. But the ages, I saw little kids going, maybe 8 years old, 10 years old. These teenagers, the college age kids, middle-aged people, older people, 60s, 70s. Everyone loves the Beatles, loves their music. And that just made me think, the Beatles will be around forever. Even after Paul passes away and Ringo passes away, the Beatles will always be with us. Why? Because the music and their personalities, we have a Hard Day's Night to watch. We have Help to watch. And all these documentaries and movies that can do on the Beatles thing. It's like the Beatles have become rediscovered, and people love them. And I was thinking, these guys who were up on stage portraying the Beatles, they weren't even born when the Beatles were around, And it's a good gig. Think about it. Traveling the world, playing Beatle music, and being adored, and making money. So it's not a bad gig. But I thought of that the all the ages, I mean, all those little kids who went last night, they're always going to remember that, 8 years old. They're going to grow up listening to the Beatles, and it's just going to keep going on and on and on. And you have bands like Rain and the Fab Four and Beatlemania and 1964, just reminding us how great the Beatles were. Another thing that stood out was coming out of the theater. Well, they played the last song, which was Hey Jude. And then as the band left the stage, the sound, when the intercom started playing Hello, Goodbye. I don't know why I say goodbye, I say hello. Oh, oh. And people were actually singing on the way out of the theater. They were passing each other by, and I was singing, I don't know why I said goodbye, I said hello. And everybody was so happy. Saying, wasn't that a great show? And you just feel good. You feel good about the Beatles. People in the lobby, people right outside the theater were saying, they weren't talking about all this politics and hate and division. They were talking about love and peace and how the message of the Beatles. And the guy who played John was really interesting. Before he went into his little solo set where he sang Imagine, he talked about John, and he talked about, it's interesting, all John ever preached, if you want to use that word, or talked about when he was alive, especially later in the 60s, was about love and peace. Why not give peace a chance? All we are saying is give peace a chance, right? All you need is love. What? All, that was what John Lennon and the Beatles were all about. And wasn't it ironic and wasn't it unfair for him to meet his death the way he did in such a violent way? Something's not right. And as the guy said who played John, he said, that tells us that something's not right in this world. When a guy can talk about peace and love, and try to spread that hope around to people, and he meets such a violent, untimely death. But, it was a fun time, it's a great time, and it's a great reminder of how great the Beatles are, and how great not only the music, but the personalities, and the fact that, we still have Ringo and Paul around to appreciate them. And it was just a great time. Great, great, great. I have a TV classic of the week to do. So I'm going to sign off here in a second, and I'm going to do the TV classic of the week. I think you're going to love this one. It's a little bit of the 50s and a little bit of the 60s. This show was very popular. And it was we could say it's the grandfather of current shows. You go back to this show that we're going to talk about. It all goes back to this show. It all goes back to it. And it's going to be good. It's going to be fun. So tune into that. I got to say, football tomorrow. Oh, the Yankees won last night, up 3-1 over Cleveland. I hate to say it, but it looks like Cleveland's run is just about going to be over. I don't know if they're going to win tonight to send the series back to New York. I'd like to see them do it. I don't know if it's going to happen. The Mets won. They hung on. And now they're going back to LA to play Game 6. There's no way in hell that the Mets are going to win 2 games in LA. If they win Game 6, kudos to them. I'll take my hat off to them. Then they have to win Game 7. They're not going to win 2 games out there. That fans. It's not going to happen. I think the Dodgers are going to crush them tomorrow night in Game 6. I mean, they already beat them 8-0 and 9-0 in the series. I think they take care of business in LA. And that's going to be the end of the Mets. Like I said, listen to Daddy, Dodger-Yankee World Series. Why? Not only because maybe they're the 2 best teams, but it's what baseball wants. Classic, old school, Dodgers, Yankees. Mickey Mantle, Sandy Koufax, Roger Maris, right? Don Drysdale. But it's also what TV wants. You got the two big TV markets, LA and New York. And you've got the showcase of Otani and Judge, right? Probably the two best power in the game today. So that only makes sense. And the fact that the Dodgers are one win away from the World Series, and so are the Yankees, leads me to believe stronger than ever that it's going to be Dodgers, Yankees in the World Series. Football tomorrow, Eagles play at 1:00. They're playing the New York Giants up in the Meadowlands. I don't know how to feel about that game. I mean, you would think the Eagles would win, but then again, NFC East games were always tight. Giants and Eagles tend to play close games, low scoring games. And the Eagles aren't exactly setting the world on fire these days. It would be nice if the Eagles scored a freaking point in the first quarter. Yeah. They're the only team in the NFL not to score in the first quarter so far this year. I think the Eagles win, but I think it's going to be something like 20-17. The one thing I would take, Saquon Barkley, it's his revenge game. He's going back to New York. I think he has a big game. I already took Barkley 100 yards combined, rushing and receiving. I mean, he may get it in rushing. I think that's a good play. I also think taking Saquon for a touchdown is a good play, only the odds stick. Everybody, brother, feels that Saquon Barkley's going to score a touchdown tomorrow. If you really are daring, take Saquon Barkley to take two breaths in one, 2 touchdowns tomorrow. That you're going to get the odds are something like 3-1 or something. That's not bad. And he could do it because I look at it this way: every time the Eagles are near the goal line, they're going to give it to Barkley because they want to feed him the ball, and Barkley is going to be very determined and motivated to score tomorrow. But Barkley can score from 70, 80 yards away. All they got to do is keep feeding him the ball. You know, feed Saquon Barkley the ball. Sooner or later, he's going to break one. I have him for 2 touchdowns tomorrow. So let's see what happens. I will hope for a win. All right, I'm going to sign off because I'm coming right back to do a TV classic for the week. Everybody have a good day. I probably won't be on tomorrow unless something happens that we need to talk about. It's a day of rest, even God rested. And I'm going to be watching football, as you probably will be. And go Eagles tomorrow. It works. Peace and love. Everybody have a great Saturday. And stay tuned for the TV classic of the week. See you soon. Bye.